The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
1 week from today, the Canucks season will begin, and we're getting ever so close to seeing the Vancouver Canucks on opening night. The roster got trimmed down today. We got new lines of practice. Let's get into it all here on Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs, and as always, joined by my co-host, Kyle Bowen. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Kyle, the curse of Beggsy lives on. Had the one-on-one with Kratstov. He's in the minors. The one-on-one with Höglander. He's injured. There's now 16 forwards left at camp. 9 defensemen left, although 2 are injured and not there today. Kyle, does it worry you at all that Joseph and Forbert are out of the lineup, and the Canucks today had Nils Amon playing defensive practice?
No, man. P.O. Joseph, Forbert missing at practice. Get well soon. But to be honest, I feel like that's a blessing in disguise. Is that a mean thing to say? You know what really worries me, Trevor? The fact that, again, you had a one-on-one with Kravtsov. He got waived. His dreams get demolished. Höglander's dreams, after you had a one-on-one with him, they get demolished. And now what? Now you're having a one-on-one with me. And, again, I told the story many times, bro. Bad luck hasn't hit me a lot. But when it did, my first girlfriend left me for a girl who worked at McDonald's. You know what, though? That's not a bad thing because I'm blessed. I got a new girlfriend, and she's 100 times better and 100 times hotter. Where am I going with this? I'm not worried at all. It is what it is, but I do got questions, not concerns, just questions, because I don't know if confusion is the wrong word, but there's a lot of question marks in regards to like who's sticking around when it comes to the forward department. And before Trevor goes off and gives you guys his lineup projections, do us all a favor and get in the comments, project your lineups, because this is the show. This is the projection show, and who knows what's going to happen, so we might as well have some fun here.
100%. And, the lines we saw today, I'm not convinced that those are going to be the lines on opening night, which I'm not sure if that's a bold take. Of course, they still have to trim down the roster. But for those who didn't see it, I'm going off the dome here, but it was DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Besser on the top line, Kane, Hedl, and Garland on the second line. The third line, Drew O'Connor, Kevin O'Connell, Braden Cootes, Kiefer Sherwood. At the fourth line, Atu Ratu on the wing with Teddy Bluger and Jonathan Lecker-Mackey. That was your fourth line. The fifth line at practice was the Abbotsford Canucks line of Baines, Sasson, and Carlson. And then Nils Amon still at camp. Like I mentioned before, he played defense with Victor Mancini. Rest of the pairs were Hughes Hronek, MP3 and Myers, and then D. Petey with Tom Hollander. Adam Foote did say that Derek Forbert, he tweaked something at practice the other day. He's been doing all right, but they wanted to manage his minutes. So it doesn't sound like it's serious. His quote today was that he wants him to play on opening night. So it sounds like he won't play tomorrow, but probably in line to play on opening night. P.O. Joseph also tweaked something at practice.
I don't know, Trevor. You know what? Not to cut you off, but these guys always be lying about injuries. Niels Höglander sprained ankle. Nothing's wrong with Thatcher Demko. He has the first Papatius injury in the history of mankind. Like, we don't know. Like, Forbert could be out for quite some time. We don't know.
Yeah, it could be, right? Maybe it is lip service from Adam Foote. I will say he's a guy that's almost come off as, I don't want to say too honest, like Bruce Boudreau style, but a guy that's pretty upfront with the media. But hey, man, this is why I'm here. I don't like calling myself Big J Journal, but I'm here just to report what happened at practice, and you can rip off of that from there. But yeah, looking at practice today, I mean, I think my main piece of skepticism is, are the Canucks really going to open the season with Cootes and Lecker-Mackey in their bottom six? And I think Cootes is going to be there for sure if he makes his team. But Jonathan Lecker-Mackey and Braden Cootes plus Atu Ratu on the wing, it just doesn't quite seem like the opening night lineup to me overall. So I think one thing I'm looking for, especially going into Friday night, and I'll get real and lay out some projections here, but can Jonathan Lecker-Mackey prove he deserves a top 6 spot? Can Braden Cootes continue doing what he's doing? He's got one last chance to prove that he can make this team out of camp. I still don't think that's a guarantee, although the way he's played, he's earned it so far. So I think those are the main things I'm looking for. But I have a hard time seeing Cootes and Lecker-Mackey both in the bottom 6 on opening night.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Why you'd have a hard time thinking about that. but I feel as if, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but going into the early part of this season for the Vancouver Canucks, and of course, there's a big difference between Philip Hedl and Braden Cootes, or even if it's like Philip Hedl and Atu Ratu, when we talk about who's your second line center versus who's your third line center, and just in theory, like what's your second line and what's your third line. But like, is there like much of a difference? Like, couldn't you use like Hedl, Garland, and whomever in theory as like your third line? Like more matchups, more defensive responsibility, and still shelter Cootes, Lekaramaki, and Evander Kane, or Cootes, Lekaramaki, and Kiefer Sherwood in other matchups? You probably could.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that, right? But again, I think when you're looking at a lineup like that, so now you're going to have Pettersson and Hedl take on the toughest minutes, which, one of those lines is going to do that for sure. But then you really got to shelter two lines, right? You got to shelter the Cootes line and you got to shelter the Lekaramaki line, right? So, I mean, look, I'll lay it out right now. I think on opening night, the first line is pretty cut and clear, right? It's been DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Besser since day one of camp. Pettersson said today that he feels like they're building chemistry, although he thinks they can be more dangerous at 5-on-5. He says they haven't quite gotten there yet. The second line right now, I'm going to believe that it's going to be Kane, Hedl, and Lekaramaki. I think if Lekaramaki is going to make this team, that's where he's going to play for your Vancouver Canucks.
No, 100%. 100%.
And then I think I'll go with the third line of Blueger, Garland, and oh my God, who else am I missing there? O'Connor, I suppose, on the third line. And the fourth line, I think, would be Cootes, Sherwood, and Atu Ratu. Maybe Atu Ratu plays on the third line instead. I'm kind of torn on those wingers, but yeah, that's more so where I'm leaning. And then if probably Sasson gets cut and Baines and Carlson potentially sit as your 13th and 14th forward, although more on that later, because I don't think that's a guarantee either.
I like that. I like the Ratu, Kiefer Sherwood, Braden Cootes thing. I also like Braden Cootes with Kiefer Sherwood and Evander Kane. I was thinking about that a little bit too, because Sherwood has the speed, Evander has the speed too, but they both could insulate Braden Cootes a lot and protect him a lot. I know Kiefer Sherwood isn't like pound for pound the toughest guy. He likes to throw the body a lot, but I feel as if he's more of an agitator than a bully. You know what I'm saying? But I could also see the chemistry amongst that line work. And dude, I still want to see Lekaramaki play with Pettersson. I still want to see Lekaramaki play with Besser and Pettersson. I know it's not going to happen, and we're talking about opening lineup projections right now. And I think we can go to bed with DeBrusk, Pettersson, and Besser being a thing. But I do want to see if Pettersson and Lekaramaki, I mean, they speak the same language, if there's some chemistry there. But for now, I do like the Garland, Hedl, Lekaramaki thing. I think that could be, I don't know, there's a 40% chance that could be very, very dangerous.
Garland, Hedl, and Lekaramaki, or Kane, Hedl, Lekaramaki?
No, I want to see Kane with, I know I'm talking about my lineup projections now, and I'm sorry for going all over the place. It's just me and Trevor hanging out and being friends. Sorry.
Big Kyle Bowen and small Trevor Beggs if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah. But I kind of want to see Garland and Hedl, and again, you put Lekaramaki with Hedl too in your projections, and I just want to I want to see Lek move up the lineup, and I want to see Hedl be surrounded by two skilled guys.
Yeah,
and Kane's there too. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I mean, one reason why I don't think that's going to happen is I have a hard time seeing Garland move off right wing. We almost have never seen that in Vancouver, and I don't think they're going to put Lekaramaki on his offside either. Yeah, I think Lekaramaki is going to stick at right wing, which again makes things a bit complicated because if you want to have this guy in the top six, you're bumping Garland down, right? But we've seen the Canucks, be infatuated with bumping Garland down the lineup, having chemistry with Teddy Blueger. I mean, I think actually the more I think about this, I wonder if Ratu, Blueger, and Garland would make more sense.
Ooh.
My thought originally was maybe you want Ratu with Cootes because Cootes, taking NHL faceoffs. Who knows how that's going to go? He's been fine in preseason. But you could have more of a defensive conscience on that line too, like a guy in Blueger and Ratu who can take faceoffs on either side, can win draws. And I think Ratu gives maybe speed element's not the right word, but a bit more tenacity to that line as well. And I really like the look of O'Connor, Cootes, and Sherwood, and that's a line that they've continued to go back to as camp's going on here. Yeah.
And again, this is the lineup projection extravaganza show. We're all over the place. And I think by the time this episode ends, we're going to get closer and closer to I don't know, me giving final thoughts. But as my brain is processing all of this right now, I'm still scared of the chemistry issues. And that's why I feel like it's hard to look at what we saw at practice today as the sure thing, because I'm pretty sure against a good Edmonton Oilers squad tomorrow, like things are not going to go perfect, and they might mush things around. Now, if they do like hit the reset button, one thing I don't want to see, Trevor, and I know it quote unquote worked to some extent. And let me just pull up because the whole winger thing. Sometimes I get confused. Sometimes I'm playing NHL video game mode the whole time. But I don't want to see Hedel, Drew O'Connor, and Jonathan Lecker-Mackey. Like I don't want to see.
I agree.
I don't want to see Drew O'Connor get top 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't. Like I think it's like the Tyler Myers thing. You get way more out of him when you expect less from him. And I just want Hedel to be surrounded by skill all around him. Like I know people may be scared of his defensive liabilities, which again, I think it's overrated. Our defense is so stacked. That's going to kind of like rub off on the forwards. Like something's going to get. And I think it's not well deserving, but it's worth taking the risk on just supplying Hedel with offensive talent. And that has to be Lecker-Mackey if Lecker-Mackey makes the team. And then that has to be, again, like, who would it be? It would have to be like Evander Kane or even Baines.
Good old Steve Baines. They get that second line opportunity, and we all read way too much into it as his line mates didn't play in Calgary, and he ended up playing with Sasson and Carlson. Let us know in the comments, again, if you're watching live on YouTube or hitting us up after the fact, what are your projections for opening night as we get closer to the regular season? Now, Kyle, on the other side, I do think there is a fascinating decision to make with the defense, and it could mean one of the guys we thought was a lock is not going to make this team on opening night. Let's get to that on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel, baby. NFL week 5 about to begin. San Francisco, the LA Rams, F both those teams. Go Seahawks, go Kyle. Who are the Packers you've been playing this week?
Bye.
Oh, it's the bye. I should know that. I think I got 3. I got a lot of Packers on my fantasy team, actually. You'd be proud of me, But they're all on bye this week, and my fantasy season is going down the tube. I hope your betting season doesn't go down the tube. And if you're just getting into it, go check out FanDuel, okay? Because right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, the Vancouver Canucks, 1 preseason game left. Again, the balls are tingling, man. The season's right around the corner. The Canucks still 89.5 points as they're over-under on FanDuel. They're also plus 4,000, Kyle, to win the Stanley Cup. So if you're feeling spicy, those are a couple bets for you to check out. Again, new customers, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Ready to get started? Go check out FanDuel.com right now.
People, we back doing this, talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name's Kyle Bowen. That right there is the second best dad in the world. Good old friend Trevor Beggs. We're at the studio together, the Don't Doze Art Lab, giving that West Coast bias to you and you and you and you. Speaking of which, let's get to the comments. Man, oh man, I'm liking these comments about Connor Garland, even though, again, I do want to see Hedel play with them. Or even, again, I want to see maybe Pettersson and Garland play more. Okay, but all in all, Matt Folger, drink your coffee, saying Garland is on the third line is like having a 6-man in the NBA. Hangia saying, welcome back, Hangia. I haven't seen you in a while. Saying Garland in the bottom 6 is similar to Marchand on the Panthers' 4th line. I like it, to be honest. You brought up, him playing with Bluger, right? Like that was like your thing. Like just give him Bluger. Like, is there any world where Cootes, Garland, and etc. could work?
I mean, could it work? Yes. I don't see it happening just because Sherwood's been stapled to his line throughout most of camp. Like it's been Sherwood or it's been Kane. Like one of those guys has been on his line. Now, could you do a line with like Kane, Cootes, and Garland? I mean, theoretically you could, but I just think that, like you said, then you got to have a left winger, like unless it's Baines playing up the lineup, like O'Connor or somebody like that playing with, or maybe even Ati Racha, right? That kind of worked in some preseason games too. But again, I think Connor Garland on the third line is a luxury. I'm still not convinced if it's a luxury the Canucks can afford, but there's again, the forward group is, how do I put this nicely? on paper, it's middling compared to the rest of the NHL, right? And you're really projecting some guys. Again, I still think it's crazy we're talking about an 18-year-old kid making this team.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's a guarantee, but again, he's earned the spot so far. But again, this is an imperfect forward lineup, or else we wouldn't be talking about, Lekkerimäki making this team after 2 good preseason games, or Cootes making this team as an 18-year-old. So there's going to have to be some tough choices that are made. But I think we know right now the top line is what it is, and the rest of it, it's pretty open for interpretation.
And now, Trevor, looking at the lineup that you tweeted out today, like, again, my mind's all over the place because I think I'm like looking at how we got fooled a couple days ago, and I can't take practice lineups very serious. And I completely ignored the fact that, we're already seeing Hedl with Garland and Kane, right? Like that could be something. And again, my mind's all over the place. And I don't know if you already touched on this, even though you're right by me, but those 3 together, gauge it for us. Like, what are the chances stylistically that something like that works? Because reading that out loud, and I know it weakens the bottom 6 a lot. I know what you're saying. It does. Like, it does, considering that, you're probably putting, who you're giving Braden Cootes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just too much pressure there for some players, like whether it be Lekkerimäki or even RSG Baines or Sasson. Like, it's just not deep enough. But again, just touch on Kane, Hedl, and Garland, because something tells me that may pop. Like, there's a lot of personality on that line too. Like, there could be a lot of charisma between Evander Kane and Connor Garland on one line, shift in and shift out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there could be some chemistry between those guys as well, because now you have 2 guys who I think are legitimate top 6 players in Hedl and Garland, playing with Kane, who's more of a complementary piece, right? But he's obviously made a career off of playing with other skilled players, whether it's been McDavid or Draisaitl or Joe Pavelski or whoever. He's made a career off of, playing caddy to start players and doing a good job of it, even at this stage of his career. So again, if you're going to roll with those guys on your second line, I don't think Braden Cootes makes this team.
Yeah.
Because I think you're just too thin, too inexperienced at the bottom of the lineup. I think you got to roll with Bluger and Ratu as your centers, if that's going to be the case in the second line.
But you know what? I think we got to see it tomorrow. I think we got to see Ratu, Cootes, and Sherwood. We got to see a little bit of that. And why don't you tell us? And again, we're gonna get to your comments because I like some of these lineup projections. I'm gonna read one after Trevor answers this. But since we're on the Ratu thing, you said you spoke to Ratu about playing the wing. So why don't you elaborate?
Yeah, I just asked him today at practice, like, does it feel any different playing on the wing? Because, of course, this is a guy who has played center for most of his life. And he downplayed it, right, as you would expect he would. Just said it's not that different. He kind of went into hockey nerd mode and basically said, like, sometimes depending on, like, who the lowest forward is in the zone or the highest forward is, back up towards the defensive zone, depending on where you are on the ice, he's like, I often end up playing wing, or it feels like I'm playing wing even when I'm at center. So, and that's a fair point, right? Just because, you're the guy that takes the draw, often the center is the guy who holds back the most, but it's not always the case, right? So Ratu is a forechecking kind of player. So you can see that he does, maybe default into more of like a winger type mentality on depending on what shift he's on. So
yeah,
he also mentioned too, like, I asked him about the injury in the offseason, and he just felt like he feels like he had an okay start. Like, not that it's been bad, but he does feel like he's picked up over the past couple of games, which makes sense because he's buried a couple of bingos.
And he's played strong. Anyways, Next comment. This comment goes to Mother Nucker. He's saying, let's have Besser play with Pettersson and DeBrusque. Let's have Lekkerimäki play with Hedl and Kane. Let's have Kiefer play with Ratu and Connor Garland. And then Arsh, Blugs, and DOC. So he doesn't have Cootes making the team. And I think we got to, take a couple of minutes. I know we got to go on the defense, but I just want to look at that bottom 6, Trevor, and just, I don't know, something about that makes sense.
Makes a lot more sense than what they have at practice today with Cootes on your third line and Lekkerimäki on your fourth line, right? Like, again, Cootes going to have to be a pretty special player to stick around. Again, I think right now it's certainly leaning towards the fact that he's going to get a 9-game addition, but this is the NHL, and he's 18 and a half years old. So again, I'm still not convinced this is going to be a long-term thing. Like, Jet Luchenko last year, surprised everyone, made the Flyers out of camp. The Flyers are not a good team. He played 4 games and went back to the minors, or the CHL, I should say. So, yeah, I think the Cootes thing, I'm really flip-flopping on, but as of right now, we've all seen it. He kind of does deserve at least a look when the season starts.
Yeah, and I hope he I hope he owns Edmonton tomorrow. And like, I think like I feel like since we haven't seen him in like what 5 days, is it right? Like when was the last time he played?
Sunday against Edmonton.
Oh, sorry. So like 4 days, I guess, right? I think some of the pop is wearing off. No, like don't you feel that? Like I feel like some people are a little bit concerned. Like even Mother Knucker right here doesn't have Cootes in the lineup, right? But if he shows up tomorrow and plays a really good game, and he deserves to be there for the opening night and those first 9 games, please, Canucks fans, just have faith. Have faith and have hope that he could be an outlier. And he just changed this whole ordeal in the bottom 6. Anyways, Trevor, touch on the defense. You were there. How's the energy? I know Forbert, POJ is not there. Like what sense did you get when it comes to like what they're actually going to do?
To be honest, in a way, I almost walked away more confused. I mean, look, I think the top 4 is, I shouldn't even say that. It's going to be Hughes and Hronek on the top pair. Like that much we know. It's been Pettersson or Marcus Pettersson and Tyler Myers for most of camp at preseason. And then today at practice, you had DPD and Willander on a 3rd pairing, and you had Victor Mancini and Nils Amon on a 4th pairing, with, again, Forbert and Joseph missing due to minor injuries. But look, the Canucks, after their home opener, I believe they embark on a 5-game road trip, right? If you do have guys that are dinged up like P.O. Joseph and Derek Forbert, are you really going to only keep one of those guys around, knowing that you have 2 defensemen who maybe aren't 100% healthy? So it's starting to make me think the closer we get to the season, and this might not be like the roster that gets announced during the roster cutoff next week. It might be when they actually go on the road. But I'm pretty convinced at this point that at least when the Canucks go on the road after playing on Thursday in Calgary, it's going to be DPD and Mancini who are traveling with the team.
Yeah.
And that could mean, unless you send like a P.O. Joseph to the minors, which I'm not sure if they'll do for a long road trip, that one of Baines or Carlson is going to get cut. Or they send Cootes back to junior.
Yeah, a lot of options. A lot of options. Cootes makes everything a little bit more confusing, just even on the contractual level and the business side of things, which is like even more so fascinating, because then you're talking about one of Carlson and Baines getting waived and losing one of those guys, right? Possibly. Because Hassan, again, he can go through. Again, just me being hopeful and wanting the most out of the Canucks. I'm already telling myself that Lekkermack is going to make the team. Now, again, he's a waiver exempt. He can go down for free as well, whereas the other 2 guys, Carlson and Baines, can't. But all in all, just interesting times. Now, with the defense, I'll say this. Again, a blessing in disguise is a horrible thing to say, because somebody got hurt. You know, Forbert got hurt. And now we're kind of forced with possibly seeing Mancini and DPD make the lineup at the same time. But man, I want to see it. And I'm sick and tired of like people like how are Canucks fans or some Canucks fans wanting to play it safe, so much so that they're like okay with putting Mancini in the minors after what he has shown every single game he's played. He's been like the outside of game yesterday with, I guess, because Quinn Hughes played. Like, dude, he's just been the best defenseman, or at least the dude that's like most fun to watch, and his skill stands out. And for this team that like lacks so much offense up front, dude, let's add another offensive defenseman into the mix. Like, it's all good. This guy can play make. This guy can make things happen. And I don't know, man. Like, Forbert, shout out to you. And man, oh man, Mancini was so good on the penalty kill yesterday too. Like, he looked good defensively. I know Calgary sucked and they were hungover and whatnot, but I don't know, man. Like, we traded JT Miller for this guy. No, for real. Let's trust that he can be that guy. And what if we instill the confidence in him? Because he's too good for the AHL. I think that's quite obvious. We saw it. In fact, he gets bored in the AHL. That's what leads to him making more mistakes. Like, his development needs to happen here in the NHL, and we need to say it ASAP. And I think the Canucks would be great beneficiaries of it. And Marcus Pettersson and Mancini, that could be like splendid. That could be beautiful. And I want to see it. I want to see the puck moving. I want to see the the more charisma in the back end. I want to see us being a more fun team, and Mancini does that.
I like that, man. I almost want to hit the applause for you, man. That was a nice summary of Mancini in Vancouver. And like you said, I flip-flopped on this too. I mean, he's obviously been incredibly exciting here in the preseason. Again, a couple of mistakes early on, but I think he's cleaned those up over the last couple of games that he's gotten into. DPD has made some mistakes as well, though, right? Although he's probably a cleaner player in his own end than Mancini. So, Kyle, on the other side, I will give my defense projections for opening night. I'm not sure. Have you given your projections yet or not? Or
No, I'm going to do it because,
Okay,
again,
all right.
like I said, I'm not trusting what you posted today. I'm not saying you weren't actually at the rink. I'm just saying Adam Foote just like teased us so much a couple days ago, and I'm just not convinced. Like, I'm not convinced with the forward chemistry group. Like, I don't see like how come we're going into another season where I'm like, we don't have one line that's like tapped in. All three guys just like they can play together. Like, why is the only line on this Canucks team that can actually play together and make plays together as a 1-2-3, a boom, bam, boom? Carlson, Sasson, and Baines. No, for real. Anyway, so let's get to the other side, talk more about it. Get your lineup projections in. It's that time. Trevor, you're kind of out of focus on the webcam. That's technology. I don't know how to fix that. I'm 32 and a half years old. All in all, though, go Canucks go. Okay, we back doing this, talking about your Canucks. Everyone, do us a favor, man. If you're enjoying the show and you support our partners in crime, and I'm not talking about Trevor Baggs, I'm talking about my girlfriend, and Trevor Baggs is talking about his wife. Again, like think about this. Trevor last night, he's the best stay-at-home dad in the world. Okay, honestly speaking, the best stay-at-home dad in the world. Last night at 10:30, instead of reading his kids a bedtime story, what's he doing? Podcasting about the Canucks. Then his wife has to read the bedtime story. His wife has to change the diapers. You know the stress you have to deal with, Trevor? Like, hit the like button, man. You're doing a lot for us, man.
There was a book about, I love you, daddy, before bed. And she threw that shit in the trash, man. She was not reading that to her the kids last night. It was the I love you, mommy book for sure.
Holy.
Yeah,
could you imagine if
sacrifices I make.
Could you imagine if your daughter threw that in the garbage because we're podcasting about the Canucks, a preseason game? Come on, man. Anyways, a comment. Look at these comments about Mancini, okay? Mancini has got to be a starter. I like this one from Smirky. Mancini is the only guy to take pressure off Quinn to keep our opponents on their toes. The Beer Baron also saying I'm in on Mancini also. But just going back to Smirky's comment, what do you think he means by keeping opponents on his toes?
Well, I think it's just the way he skates to the neutral zone, right? Quinn Hughes is the only guy that really does it on this team. And, one thing we've noticed in preseason here is the defense pinching up in the rush more. Like, you look at that Calgary game last night, Marcus Pettersson was doing it. Tyler Myers was doing it. Mancini was doing it. Quinn Hughes was doing that. We talked about this on the post-game show last night. But Mancini really wheels through the neutral zone like no one else on this team really does. Obviously, Quinn Hughes does it, but it's a little different when a guy's 5'10", 180 doing it versus a guy in Mancini who's 6'5", 230. Like, he is a massive dude. I think that's a fair comment on him keeping them on their toes. Now, I guess I'll give my projections for the defense here. I do think on opening night it's going to be Hughes and Hronek. I don't want to believe this, but I do believe it's going to be Marcus Pettersson and Tyler Myers at least to start. And the third pair I think is going to be Derek Forbert along with Victor Mancini. I think right now, and man, I'm really flip-flopping on who's going to get cut here. I think on opening night, it's going to be P.O. Joseph with the seventh defenseman. Maybe DPD gets papered down. But when they go on the road, DPD is going to be with the team. And I do wonder if, again, it's either Carlson going on waivers, Lecker, Mackey, Baines, and Cootes. It's hard for me to make a prediction on that. The more we do this show, Kyle, the more I'm leaning towards the fact that Braden Cootes might not make this team.
Wow, dude. Okay, so, and that kind of leads me to my next comment, okay? And it goes to NGK. He's like, is there a clear mentor for Braden Cootes on the squad? And I want to ask you this because you're at the rink a lot. Like, when we read those quotes about Ryan O'Reilly and how like the older players gravitated towards him, like he was just part of the team right away. Is Braden Cootes just a story and just having a good camp, or is he like a Vancouver Canuck? Is he like, can you see the body language? Like, is he meshing with guys? Like, is this a close knit team? Are they gravitating towards Brandon Cootes, the veterans that is like, because I feel like the Canucks need more characters. They need more like main characters, and Brandon Cootes will hopefully get there one day. But all in all, like again, I said this earlier. I feel as if the shininess has kind of like worn off, or just because of 4 days, and maybe it's because of the rain. But I feel like this team kind of needs Coots. And again, are some of the players like? Do you think they're like going to management or to Adam Foote and being like, "You got to keep this guy"?
I don't get that sense, to be honest. Now, like, this is what I thought, before I, was kind of around the circles of Canucks meeting. I thought you go into the dressing room, you'd see guys all the time, but it's Canucks PR protects these guys. So I can't say I have this great bird's eye view of how Coots is being treated in that dressing room, but just from interactions in the hall and on the ice, he's name checked Sherwood, he's name checked Besser, he's around Sherwood quite a lot. So I think that's probably the main mentor for Braden Coots so far. But again, do I get the sense that the whole team's gravitating towards him? No, I don't get that sense.
Again, this
doesn't mean they're not, but that's not the sense I get from.
And that's okay, because I feel like they got to start winning games to get really close. Like it's just a lot of shit's happened with this club, for real. And I think this is not a video game. Like from the outside, we could be like, oh, this guy's a leader, that guy's a leader. They're probably a close bunch. And, you would like to think that happens ASAP, but I feel as if with so much going on outside the team and like all the pressure that's on the team, I feel as if they're not going to completely enjoy themselves / be themselves until they start like winning games, like getting that internal momentum. And then maybe they're all going out for dinners and they're becoming a close bunch. And yeah, I feel as if Braden Coots would 100% make the team if guys like Quinn Hughes, captain of the Canucks, I know more of an introvert, but captain nonetheless, was like, yo, Adam Foote, like you're not dropping this guy. This guy has to make the team. He's ready. Anyways, next comment. Smirky also saying 8 defensemen, you got to go with 8 defensemen until Rutherford and Alvin make that trade. Now, this is, I want to bring this comment up because I do think this is very, very important because Alvin and Rutherford like to make moves and whatnot. But a part of me feels like we got to show off Mancini and DPD as much as possible to raise up their trade value. And I know that's crazy to say. Like we just saw what the Florida Panthers guy, Nicola. He got paid $5 million. Like, and honestly, like he's probably like the best number 5 defenseman in hockey.
Gustav Forsling's probably feeling shafted right now.
Yeah, no, he's making 20 mil too. Eventually, all in all, like you need like I think championship teams have 5 good defensemen. Like it's a top 5. I'd love to break down that theory with you on like a future episode. But this team also has Willander as well, Kuryatsiev, all these things. Like they could still have a deep decor if one of these guys got to go. And again, showing them off this year raises their value.
Yeah.
And whether it be a number 2 center or just even another winger, because we just went through it. We saw the lineup. Like this team needs like another winger too.
Yeah. They need some help on offense for sure. And Canucks fans aren't going to want to hear this right now, but Mancini is the guy that's going to have the most trade value because not only does he have the highest defensive floor, the highest offensive floor, but he's pretty solid defensively. He can skate really well. He's the flashiest player of the bunch. I think Mancini, compared to DPD at least, would have a higher trade value. Tom Willander, as the draft pedigree, he's probably got more trade value than Mancini. But again, if we get a run of the regular season here where Mancini's looking awesome out there, like he has so far, like he did in the AHL last season, like he has so far during camp, he's gonna have the highest trade value of the Canucks young defenseman.
Yeah, and I wonder if one of these guys, I've only seen him play a couple of times because we don't care about the Anaheim Ducks. But just based on how the pundits are talking about him, I wonder if like one of these guys, and they have to make the right call, like whether it be Willander or just even between let's just like leave it to DPD and Mancini. If one of these guys can either turn into a Nicola or even like a Jackson Lacombe, which is like a lot to ask for, but I don't know, Mancini could be a 40-point guy. I could see his skill set kind of give you that for real. And if he's good defensively, you kind of like, you found another like Philip Hronik, like a really, really solid defenseman. Then yeah, like A, we won the Miller trade, and B, I think we get there sooner if they play a lot of games this year in the NHL. Like, we're not winning the. I don't want to say it. We can't win the Stanley Cup. I'm sorry, but I don't know. Like, do we need to make sure Derek Forbert, even when he's healthy, is playing 70 games this year?
Yeah, he hasn't played 70 games in a long time, so I don't think that's the case. Now, I think the one thing the Canucks got to be careful of, and Jim Rutherford's mentioned this, being caught in between, is the Quinn Hughes factor. Like, do you really want to go and trade one of these young defensemen if you think Quinn Hughes is going to leave this team, right? Because, right now, they're not going to stomach the loss of Quinn Hughes. Like, it's probably going to be a full scorched earth rebuild. Let's table it for another episode. But like right now, if Quinn Hughes were to leave, you'd have, Marcus Pettersson, Phil Hronek. Maybe your year on, you have a better DPD in Mancini. You got Tom Willander in the fold. Like, you still have like 5 good defensemen there, right? Yeah. So that's one way of looking at it. But yeah, I mean, more likely than not, like one of those 3 guys is probably gonna have to be traded at some point if they truly want to upgrade their forward position.
Yeah, and that's just the truth. And again, I want to say, like, that has a lot to do with Philip Hronek having a no trade clause, and also this is ultimate West Coast bias, but I do think Kirill Kuryatsev is a good player.
He's good. Yeah,
he's good.
100%.
He's solid. So my prediction would be Hughes, Hronek for sure. Again, I want to see MP3 with Mancini. I feel as if Mancini deserves that. And DPD with Tyler Myers. Like, I think Forbert's sitting the first game. Woo! I do. That's just the way it is. You waive POJ, whatever. Be a veteran down there. Be the new Christian Willanen. No, straight up. Forward group, again, I want to predict something else, but right now it is DeBrusk, Petey, and Besser. I'll say Hedel, Lecker, Mackey. Oh, that's hard, man. No, it's hard. I don't know if I want Evander Kane not playing with Braden Cootes, I'd even go Hedel, Garland, and Atu Ratu.
Yeah, all right.
For real.
All right.
Cootes, Sherwood, and Kane, come on. You know the deal. That could be a sexy line. That could be a sexy, sexy line. The tenacity, like Cootes would be protected. Boom, bam. You know what? Scratch that. We got Hedel, Lecker, Mackey. Hedel, Lecker, Mackey, Garland. I'm going to go with that, okay? Hedel, Lecker, Mackey, Garland, Cootes, Kane, Sherwood, and Bluger, Ratu, and Drew O'Connor. And I guess that means you could keep what? Yeah,
because you're waiving P.O. Joseph, so you could keep Baines and Carlson on the team.
And that's forwards. With Forbert, but Forbert's not on the IR. I could still keep.
Yeah, Forbert's a scratch on the IR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can keep both those guys.
Okay, then we keep even with because we're waiving POJ, right?
Yeah.
And Willander's going down. Okay, so then we keep Baines and Carlson.
There you go.
And dumps this on.
Yeah, I think one of my last points here is if they do get to a point where they got to keep 8D on the roster, who are they going to cut? And I think it's either they send Cootes back to junior, they put Lecker Mackey back in the AHL, or Baines or Carlson got to go through waivers. I think right now, if you're not going to go down the route of, Cootes in the dub or Lecker Mackey in the minors, I think you're waiving Linus Carlson. I think RC Baines has outplayed him so far. I think he shows more versatility on the penalty kill, a bit more speed, a bit more playmaking ability.
Yeah.
Linus Carlson, he's got some good traits, like he's strong in the corners, bigger body, can bang home goals from the front of the net. But between Baines and Carlson, if you're going to waive a guy, I think it's going to be Linus Carlson.
Yeah, me too. Just again, the Cootes things makes like the whole puzzle a lot more confusing. And I feel as if it's a good thing if Lecker, Mackey, and Baines are up with the Canucks because they'll be internally competing with each other. For real. Tomorrow's a big game. Like, I know you're going to be at the rink. I don't want to go too far and say I'm going to ditch my girlfriend and go to a bar to watch the game. I think she might want to chill like around 7:00, but I feel like, I wouldn't miss a regular season game to hang out with my girl. And I feel like I should maybe consider actually going against my word and ditching her to watch this game because it feels like a regular season game.
Hey man, I would tell you not to do that, but I did ditch reading my kids a bedtime story last night to do a Canucks podcast. So who am I to tell you to hang out with your girlfriends instead of watching a Canucks preseason game?
Yep. Anyways, that was another episode of Locked On Canucks. One last comment, hit the like button. And I think the number one thing that came out of this episode is this. It's Evander Kane, Braden Cootes, and Kiefer Sherwood. That's actually the number one thing. I want to see that. That has all the energy to I don't know, have Braden Cootes feel comfortable. You thought you brought up how like Kiefer Sherwood's like so close with Cootes already. you could see Evander Kane like kind of, I don't know, like force himself to be like a good leader. No, he is a good leader, but like, be personable, protect Cootes. That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And on Toronto, I think it's showing something on the wing. Like maybe he's with Garland, and then you have that fourth line of like, Bluger, O'Connor, and yeah.
RC Baines.
And that probably is Lecker-Mackey off the team if you're doing that. So yeah. Crazy decisions to come. Yeah. We got you covered for the rest here on Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, go like and subscribe on the podcast that you can follow us. Leave a 5-star review. Every like helps me feed my family. Not only that, helps me afford gas to come do shows in person with Kyle Bowen. One love to you, brother.
Did he say Kyle Brown? This guy
I said Kyle Browen. I said Kyle Browen.
Kyle Brown. He said Kyle Brown. Trevor Beggs is 2025. Okay, that you know what? Cut.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.